I'm just walking through these woods, dodging bobcats and coyotes and Bigfoot. But as I do, I'm gonna take a stop and take a break and talk about how Canelo is right now the king, and I don't see much of a threat out there. The latest boogeyman, I was told that Benavidez was the boogeyman at 168, and Canelo was gonna vacate or leave 168 to avoid Benavidez. That was one of the latest rumors that I was hearing from people, from the Canelo haters. So let's look at, these guys are going to tell you who they are without telling you who they are. The latest specific example of this between 160 and 175, and I've been telling you for a while that Canelo has no immediate threat between 160 and 175. Benavidez had just told on himself. His manager comes out to the Boxing Voice and says, we want more money to fight Boo Boo Andre than we do to fight Canelo. So what does that tell us? When Coppinger broke this news last week that Bivol and Golovkin were going to fight Canelo in 2022, and once again, we got to take what Coppinger says with a grain of salt because he's often wrong. But let's assume it's true for the sake of this video. I said to watch how the other guys move, not named Bivol and Golovkin, whose names were on this short list, who didn't get the fight in 2022. Watch how they move in 2022, and that's going to tell you a lot because these guys have not been aggressive with their careers in 2020, 2021, hoping that the Canelo fight falls in their lap, not wanting to take any risks. So will they now take risks in 2022, or will they stay course, fight easier fights in 2022, hoping that the fight falls in their lap in 2023? Listening to Benavidez's manager, it seems that Benavidez is going to stay course, continue to fight easy fights in 2022 and hope, or a single fight in 2022 and hope that the fight falls in his lap in 2023. And it's frustrating to see because Benavidez versus Andre is definitely a fight that should happen. Both guys are available. Both guys are out there looking for fights. Fight. But it looks like Benavidez doesn't want that. When you price yourself out openly, and they're openly doing it now, openly, when a manager is comfortable enough to go on a boxing website, a podcast, and openly say, we want 7 to 9 million to fight Boo Boo Andre, openly pricing themselves out, they're just comfortable at this point, not taking risks. They're comfortable telling you where they stand and who they are. And to me, that's disrespectful to boxing fans because they just expect you to just wipe it on the side and say, okay, Benavidez, just go fight an average fighter again and hope the fight falls in your lap. But Benavidez, Charlo, these guys aren't going to take any risks until that fight falls in their lap. I'm telling you. I've been told that Benavidez is the boogeyman. He sure ain't acting like the boogeyman, because if he was the boogeyman, he'd be willing to fight anybody, right? The only boogeyman between 160 and 175 that I see has red hair. He's a ginger. And he's a generous A-side who is willing to hand out retirement checks to overvalued B-side fighters. Canelo is the only boogeyman between 160 and 175. And props to other fighters who are behaving like fighters right now between in those weight classes. Golovkin, he's willing to fight Murata before a Canelo fight. He wants to fight Murata in April. And you ask yourself, why would he want to fight Murata? It's a unification fight, and it's a mega fight in Japan. I know a lot of you American boxing fans don't follow anything outside of America, but that's a mega fight in Japan. And Golovkin's going to make a lot of money in that fight. And if he were to win that fight, he'll make even more money against Canelo. And props to, if it's true, Beterbiev is going to fight Joe Smith Jr., props to them. Another unification fight at 175. A risky fight for both. Props to fighters who are behaving like fighters. For the other ones, Benavidez, not so much. And you, my friend, are not the boogeyman.